You tapped in, no filter, no fluff, real rap every time. Yeah, we talking about health from the boardroom moves to the barbershop facts. We keep it 100, never turning our backs. Mine sharp like a suit with the fade on point. Every convo cut deep, this ain't just for the joint. It's the culture, the hustle, the game and the grind. You looking for truth, then you came to the right line. Keeping it 100. Facts versus feelings. Keeping it 100. Truth with no ceilings. Keeping it 100. No cap, just vision. We speak it, we live it. Your health is our mission. Facts versus feelings. Truth with no ceilings. No cap, just vision. We speak it, we live it. Your health is our mission.
Hey. Welcome to Keeping It 100, where we have these open and honest conversations to make sure you have the information you need to make good, informed health decisions. I am your host, Dr. Kristen Motley, and as always, joined by the one and only Georgie Mink Jr., the street practitioner.
Hey, what's going on, Doc?
Hey, so, I guess everybody knows we've pre-recorded a show or two just because it's the holidays, but we want to make sure that the information gets out to the people. So, if you're watching this now, it is New Year's Eve, and you are in a safe place, getting ready to bring in 2026. And so this evening we have an amazing guest on who is going to help us get 2026 midnight and on right. That is why we have her here, to help us get 2026 midnight. When the clock strikes, from that moment on, we got to get right. So we had to bring in Yana Walker to do that. Yana Walker from Temple Warrior. She has over 25 years of experience in healing arts and is a curator of all things healing and wellness related. She is a licensed social worker, an author, a Reiki master, a fitness instructor, a healing guide, mindfulness expert, and students of the universe. Wow. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Yana. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Listen, it don't stop when it comes to introducing her. I can't even get all the words out.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you are always welcome here, and we always bring you back around this time of year because this is when we're trying to set goals, we're trying to do it right. We have another chance, thank God, to get it right, and so this is usually a time where we try to reset. Although in my mind, I'm thinking we can change our habits, our path at any time throughout the year, but the first of the year is usually like a big time to do that. It's a good time to reset, so we always bring you in around that time because you do all the things.
Well, thank you.
You are welcome. So it's time to start thinking about where we're going in 2026. I'm wondering what are some of the big goals that you are hearing your clients talk about, or what are the popular goals around this time of year?
I think most people are really trying to find a way to get out of their own way. First and foremost. But a lot of big goals are about health, getting active, doing, taking care of diet, making dietary changes, going to the doctor. Those are most of the big changes, and really reassessing their career, what they're doing for their career, making a living, should I say, not always your career, right?
That's a good one. I haven't thought about that. When it's like, all right, I'm gonna start looking for something, or I'm gonna level up, or I like that one. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah, it's, and I think that a lot of people get to this time of year, right? We come up to the end of a year, and yes, we're doing reflecting on what's taken place over the past today would be 365 days, of 2025. And I think even with, most things, what stands out usually first are the things that we didn't like. And that can bring up fear, and fear and goals don't really mix well.
That's a good point. Let's
Hmm.
talk about that a little bit. So thinking about what went wrong over the year and aligning goals with your fears. Could you talk about how that could show up in real life? Is there an example that comes to mind?
Absolutely. Um, so let's say you were struggling financially in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the goal is to make more money, right? And for that
Mm-hmm.
would be to make more money in 2026. A fear-based approach to that would be taking the first thing that comes your way.
Mm.
Taking the first thing that comes your way that pays, a decent amount of money. And then February or March, you hate it. It's not in alignment with you either lose a job or you don't want to go to the job anymore and you're looking for another job again. So that's one way that can play out in real time. Oftentimes, another one that comes to mind is that if you think of parenting and you're like, next year I want to be a better mom. That's one of the lines that I really dislike because that's subjective. What does that mean? And usually better is in juxtaposition to what our parents were or caregivers were, right? And so a lot of times the ways that we can parent, come from a place of, I don't want to be like that,
Yeah.
you know?
Those are those are good. And I think that I guess it's coming from like our baseline. So where we're pulling context from,
Hmm.
right? And so that's having to deal with trauma and
Absolutely.
all of those things before we start to set goals around that. That's a really good point.
And that's how you see what we call generational trauma, how you see it play out over and over and over again through different generations,
Mm,
is that the same fears exist and get handed down to the next generation. So they're fearing the same things that they're trying to work against a narrative that they've received, a story
wow.
about, their family. Yeah.
That's deep. And along those lines, I'm also thinking in terms of creating meaningful goals. How do people create goals that are meaningful, not just what society is expecting or not just what they see on Instagram or TikTok, and creating goals that are really genuine for them and not what they think they're supposed to be because of what they see scrolling all day.
I love that. I love that question because so much of what we do is around what's viral out there, what's trending out there. And, to create meaningful goals for any individual, a huge component of that is to know what's meaningful to you, right? So, how do you feel about yourself? What sets your soul? What's your passion? You have to figure out your why. And that's going to help you set goals that are meaningful to you as an individual. Um, and also taking a moment, I think self-reflection is huge, um, in order to separate what is taught, what we've learned from other places versus what is true and authentic for, me as an individual.
Hmm.
That's going to make a huge difference.
How do we tap into that? Like, how do we go inward to, to reflect, or what strategies do you use to help a person do that?
So in a therapeutic setting, it would be really talking about the narratives that they hold and then asking the question, where does that voice come from?
Hmm.
So we trace that back. Is that a caregiver? Is that a mom, dad, grandparent, teacher, clergy? Is that somebody who told you those things are true? Or is that what you know from your lived experience? Right? So there's some true places where it can converge, or it can be just totally separate. That this is just what my grandmother said I should be doing or I should not be doing. So it gives them a space where I can hold that space, or whoever they're working with can hold that space and allow them to explore that maybe these things, maybe that can be true for them and not true for me.
Hmm.
It can be both things at the same time.
Wow. So when would be a good time to like check back in? So say we start out with the goal. It's the beginning of the year. Of course, everybody's festive, everybody's excited.
Mm-hmm.
When is a good time for you to like check in with yourself or check in with whatever goal you lay out? Like,
That's
just
great.
mentally.
I um I would say at least quarterly.
Mm,
I think we have a tendency to shift our focus even as the seasons change.
mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like what may be important to you right now, or I want to have all these things. We tend in the winter we want to kind of like hoard in a way, or we want to get cozy and comfy and hunker down. And then the spring comes and we're like, wait a minute, like okay, that was great, but now I want to be out in the street, or now I want to,
Right.
be like it's nice outside, and I want to do so. How do your goals now fit with the change in in seasons, or just in your mindset? What that that means to your mindset throughout the year. But it's
Mm,
important to keep doing, to do the check-in period, because, sometimes you get off track and you don't know
right.
that you've gotten off track.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I wonder
Interesting.
too. Oh yeah, I'm
Go
sorry. You
ahead,
get.
Doc. No, go ahead, Doc. I didn't have much. I just was telling you to go ahead, but no, I was going to piggyback off of it and say, as far as the check-ins, I'm basically saying like realistic goals, like realistic things that you want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the beginning of the year is always the best time, because everything is fresh. It's the first day, whatever. But I mean, like realistically, just I mean, it should be bigger than just losing weight. Everybody's biggest thing, but it should be like a mental approach to healthier eating or healthier living or something to that nature. I'm like getting more in tune with that style of like, you know.
Absolutely. And being able to witness yourself. So, if let's say a goal is to have better, ways to handle stress,
Mm,
you know, when you
mm-hmm,
start to see yourself respond in situations that were stressful in the past in a different way, that's in itself as a check-in just right there.
right. Okay.
You're like, oh, go me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't crash out on these people. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Okay.
Right. That's
That's your
definitely
own
one of mine.
affirmation.
Right. Okay.
You'll see it when you're walking it out. You'll get that feedback, instant feedback from your experience as well.
Mm,
But
okay.
it's important to do an actual like sit down, check in, quarterly on, what your goals are. Do they still align with where I find myself right now? What do I want to tweak? What might, maybe can change a little bit, needs revamping.
Okay.
Like that, and I think that because you'll be doing that check-in, we'll be doing that check-in. I think it's important to write down the goals so that keep a notebook, and perhaps it's like the goals notebook, and you just keep it with the things that you set for yourself, and then when you check in, you look back at what you wrote to see where you are, and just like you said, see if that still aligns with where you're going, and if not, tweak it, twerk it, and make it great, and then move
Mm-hmm.
on to the next quarter. And
Mm.
but I think that having those goals written down, and it could be one goal, like I'm saying goals, it could be one, because life is hard enough. I don't need to be trying to do
Mm-hmm.
all these different things. I just need one thing to do, and I can build on it. And so I think writing it will help you to remember and go back to it, right? Isn't there some power in writing?
Absolutely. If you have more than one goal, then I would suggest, like, say, go to the dollar store, get, the comps, which I love to buy, those little composition notebooks. And
Yeah.
then I would put one, if you have like three goals, you put one goal on the top of one page, skip a few pages, then put the second one,
Mm.
skip a few pages, then put the third, so that you can go in, and when you're sitting down, and maybe you do it more than quarterly, but you just kind of
Mhm.
have some thoughts that come up in regards to, regard to that goal. Then you can make some little jot down some notes on maybe some things you want to revise, and in that moment, or some words that come up for you. That's good. I have gotten really big on utilizing notes in my phone. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
for anything like, oh, I found this, I like it. Let me make a note.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you want to have a goals note, in your phone, or make one, note for each goal, and then you can go in if you're on the go. It doesn't have to be that you have to have the book with you all the time. So if you
True.
have your phone with you, which we normally do, then you
Mm-hmm.
could just pull out your phone and, like, jot down a note real fast, or something you want to look up, or maybe there's something related to it that you wanted to research,
Mm-hmm.
would you
I
have
think that's a good idea. I don't know why I be thinking old school. I just like paper and
it too.
books and just old school. I do use notes in my phone. I have literally like 1,200 notes, but but I think if it's something like goals, I don't know. I just want a notebook, but I do like the idea of using the notes or an app or something so that you can go back to it and reflect on it. I was also thinking about using a reminder or a calendar to remind you to go back, because that's another thing that we'll forget,
Mm-hmm.
to go back. And so like now is a good time to put the reminders in your phone and your calendar so you can remember to go back and check on it, because life just be lifing.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be 6 months down the road and we never went back to our goal, even though we wanted to check in a month or 3 months. We just never did it.
Yeah.
So I think putting those reminders on the phone will be important. So I'm talking to myself, y'all. So I'm talking to y'all and I'm talking to me. So I'm gonna sit here because I do have some goals that I want to work on. One of them is related to financial, and I really need to check back on these things and not just like put something in motion and then it's a whole year later and I never went to see if I met my goal, if I did the thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to put some quarterly dates in and hold myself accountable to it. So
And then
Right.
also, don't forget, when you set the reminder, that you put an alert for like a week before, that the date is coming
yeah,
up, so that you can,
be
sometimes
prepped.
you're waiting until the last minute and you, like, trying to tighten up the ship before it's time to look in on,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So you have a week's worth of time to, like, okay, I do need to look at it this weekend. I'm gonna look at it on the
Hmm.
Sunday or whatever, but let me, over this week, make sure I've got all the stuff together that I want to look at.
I like that. And I like that you brought up Sundays. So I don't work on Sundays. Like I don't do any work. I'm not checking my email. I'm
Good,
not working on projects. I just
good.
need one day to just give it to the Lord. He told us to sit down somewhere on Sundays, so I sat down somewhere on Sundays. Um, but I'm thinking because I don't have anything on my calendar on Sundays, that would be a good day for me to do my check-in. It's not work; it's like a personal thing, so it's not work. So I can
Mm-hmm.
do my check-in on a Sunday because there's nothing else that's going to conflict because I don't have anything else to do except for go to church on Sundays. So. I'm glad you said Sundays because I was thinking about putting it in during the week when it's going to get all clouded by all the other things. But I could do it on a Sunday because nothing else is going to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
we are.
Yeah.
I feel like this is my own little personal session right now.
Yeah, me too, Doc. Lay down. You got a couch over there, y'all. For real.
You're like,
I
I got
feel
it, I
like
got it.
Let's
I'm getting.
all everybody focus on Doc. Everybody take their hand.
Okay. Yes.
This is my own little personal session.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I mean but it really applies across
Mm-hmm.
the board. It really applies across the board, which is so great. This is why we, keep it 100 because we all dealing with life in
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
different ways, but in the same ways. It's just it's a lot. It's a
Right.
lot. Um,
Absolutely.
also wanted to ask about um like those things that derail us from achieving our goals. And one thing that comes to mind from us just having this conversation is just not having a plan.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked to Stacy a few weeks ago about healthy eating and changes that we wanted to make in terms of what we eat, it was about being prepared, which was about having a plan. And I feel like this conversation, although we didn't talk about it specifically yet, I feel like it would, one thing that could derail you from meeting your goals is not having a plan.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Yana?
I think not having a plan, but also not prioritizing itself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So often we fall by the wayside in our lives. So we're doing everything for everybody else. Oh, work needs this. Oh, so and so needs this. Oh, I'm called to do all these things. So I can't go to the gym because I need to do all these things. I need to run all these errands. and then we come last. So the more we prioritize ourselves, because we are the key player in our life. So you have Sundays, and that's important. So when I talk to students, college students, then I'm saying to them, put yourself on your calendar. You have to be on your calendar. Nobody, and this is training you for later in life. Like, you need a timeout, you need a break. Nobody's going to be like, hey, you really look like you need a break. You have to come to them and say, this is what I need for myself. So being able to plan means that you have to prioritize yourself and know that you're doing something that is in alignment for you, that feels good for you.
Okay.
Now, how do you do that? Because it's not easy to prioritize yourself, because people will say, I have to do this for my kids. If I don't do this for my kids, it does not happen. Or I'm taking care of a parent. If I don't do this, no one else is going to do it. It's not going to happen. How do people, like, realistically prioritize themselves? I don't have a problem with prioritizing myself. I will drop them kids off somewhere and go on about my business, which I
Yeah.
actually am just coming off of a 4-day, drop them kids off somewhere. They
Nice.
just got back home. But there are people that struggle with that. They struggle with asking for help, and they struggle with letting stuff go, and they take it all on, and telling them to prioritize themselves that's not enough. So how do we take it the next step?
So, to be totally honest, if each individual, if that person is not willing to prioritize themselves, then there's nothing that you can do for them. Do you understand? We have to own our own stuff. That's step one. I have to know where I am right now. Where am I right now? Am I ready to face this stuff? Like, I can have all the tools to detox and I got the diet plan and I got all the stuff. Am I invested in it? You know what I mean? Have I said, like, this is what I'm going to do for myself and nothing's going to stop me? Do you know what I'm saying? Something will always try to attempt to come in. And if we say, yes, I'm going to do these things instead of take care of myself, then there's nothing outside of that you can plan until you do the work to figure out why. Right? This is where, like, therapeutic settings are great, because it's a non-judgmental person that is holding space for you to say, like, well, why is this happening for me? Why do I feel like I'm the only person? A lot of times it comes down to control issues. If I don't do it, it's never going to get done. That's because you choose to have people around you that enable that behavior.
Oh, wow.
They prove you to be true. You have around you people that are going to prove that, that you're right. You're right. So you'll have people around that aren't trustworthy, that aren't reliable, that are sometimey, so that you can then say, see, I have to do it all myself.
Wow.
So there's a part of us that buys into, like, I have to be in control of everything for everyone else. But then I'm not, as a parent, I'm not teaching these children how to do for themselves if I'm constantly the one that has to be in control, and I'm taking you here and I'm doing this and they need to figure out some things for themselves.
Wow.
That's part of our role. Right? If we're a caregiver, I'm a caregiver for my mom. You have to rely on some people, whether that is COSA, like the Office on Aging, get people in place that can help and assist. But if your energy is open to that, you're going to find those things available to you.
Wow. Good stuff.
I like that. If your energy is open to it, because if you say you can't, you got to be the one that do it. No one else is going to be around.
Yep.
No one is here to help you. If you don't do it, then it don't get done. And when you're saying that and believing that, that is what you're going to get.
Absolutely.
I love that you are saying that.
We
you only
are
trust
wired
yourself.
to prove ourselves right.
Right.
We're wired to prove ourselves right. Hold that belief. You're going to look around for things that are going to affirm what you believe about the world around you.
You just changed my life.
Yeah, this is really for Doc. This is a Doc session.
Because think about it. When we set goals and we're saying, I should do X, Y, and Z. I have to do X, Y, and Z. I need to do, all of that has shame infused in it, right? And all of it has comparison and fear built into whatever it is I have to, need to, should be doing. There's a comparison to something, some other entity outside of yourself. But when I can sit here and say everything is going to happen in an exact right time, and if I say that, there are going to be people that are like, Psh, yeah, okay. Again, going to prove yourself right.
You're going to prove yourself right. That is so deep. So what was it? It's a quote by somebody, Einstein or something. It's like, whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right, or something like that. Because
Yeah.
it's that same thing. You're going to prove yourself right. So when you think that something is possible and you think in your mind that whatever can happen will happen, it is going to happen, whether it's positive or negative, because that's the energy you bring, is what you put out.
You really gonna program your mind to think that way.
Is so deep.
Wow.
All right, Dr. Orozco. Whether
Yeah.
you think you can or you think you can, you're right. Oh, that was Henry Ford. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you was quick on that one. All right.
Right.
That's
Right.
Good job. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
so powerful. Wow.
There's a,
I'm gonna have to
there's a
check myself.
movie, The Secret, and I use this, I talk about this a lot. The movie called The Secret, that goes into a lot of this. The things that we feel our connection to, that's a momentum, right? So when you set a goal moving forward, you want to have a momentum behind it. I ran into this young man, came up to me at the gym today, and he started asking me some questions, and it turned into this whole session I'm telling him about, it's, like he's got to get into the flow. He wants to work with kids and mentor them. And I'm like, well, remember your why. And if you can sit down and not just write down your why, but if you can close your eyes and see yourself doing what it is that you want to do, see yourself mentoring kids, and how does that feel in your soul? That's the momentum. It's the flow. That's where we're meant to be. Right? Anything else, all of these, I should do this, I have to do that, I need to, that already has resistance built in. You're already resisting whatever it is.
Wow. Yikes.
I catch myself sometimes and I'm like, oh, I have to go do da da da. And I say, no, I get to do.
Yeah. I've heard that. The reframing.
It shifts the energy.
Yeah.
It shifts the entire energy around it.
Yeah. Reframing. Because it could be something like, oh, I gotta go to work today.
Yeah.
But
I get to go to work today.
I get to go to work today. Thank you, Lord, that I get to go to work today. And it does. I've heard someone say that before as well. Yeah, this is good. This is good stuff.
And not just to get to go, I get to go to work, not just because it brings in money, but every time I get to go into this space, I get to practice my coping skills. I get to learn how to cope with people that maybe I have challenging connections with, or those that I have, that I feel like I have strong connections with. And then I get to explore why I feel like I have a strong connection with them. Is there some codependency going on? Like there's all this information that comes in and it plants seeds for me to move on from here with a whole new toolkit of awareness and abilities inside of myself.
Wow. So Yana, what about resolutions centered around relationships? So say you set out a goal for your marriage or for your relationships, what's your take on that?
I think that what you can be responsible for in goal setting for a relationship is how you're going to show up. So again, it comes back to you as an individual, and let the individual then come to the collective, that unit, whether it's a marriage, boyfriend or whatever, the connection. Right? So instead of having a goal for the marriage, have a goal for the way you show up in your marriage.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I want to show up as more empathetic. I want to show up as more compassionate. I want to show up as more curious. As opposed to jumping to assumptions, like assuming that, this person is saying this to get get their needs met or whatever. I'm going to assume that they're showing up in the best, the best version of themselves. And so I can be curious as to why they're feeling the way that they feel, you know?
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes we focus on like, okay, I want this marriage to be this by the end of the year. And then you're focused on making the marriage this by the end of the year, but you're not coming as a new person. So how can the
Mm,
marriage be something new if you're not coming and bringing something that is, refreshed or revived or revised
right.
and collaborative into the connection?
Right. 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 Right.
I like that. I like that a lot. So it's not focusing on the thing and it's not focusing on anybody else. It is focusing on ourselves.
That's
And that's
Mm,
it.
everything that we're empowered to make changes in. How
Hmm.
I see the world. I can't change the person, out at the grocery store can respond the same way and work there for 10 years and respond the same way. But what I can do is shift how it hits me and figure
Yeah.
out why I'm triggered by this person responding in the way that they respond. And then I can work on that trigger and resolve the trigger. Then I get to
Hmm.
show up in a different way where I'm like, okay, I know that this is about what's going on with them. Like it has not, doesn't have
hmm.
to do with the little girl that bullied me back in fifth grade or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Right.
We have to know ourselves and why we're triggered in instances. Then we
Mm,
can make changes.
nice.
That's a good stuff. This is good.
Yeah. It's the things that we overlook. That it's not, not that I'm not saying that it's like, oh, it's just simple, but I think it's if we live intentionally,
Mhm.
intentionally looking at what makes me tick, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, what makes me have a human experience, all of the feelings that go along with being a human being. What are those things? Why, how's that come in? And when I do that, then I can explore, this is in response to when I'm angry, I'm really, like a need is not being met, right? So, because we
Hmm.
know anger is a secondary emotion. That's not a primary emotion. Anger is like a defense for being sad or feeling unseen, unheard, unloved, then we want to, get
Oh,
defensive.
oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Primary emotions. I had never learned about primary and secondary emotions. Can we talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit? I mean, I know it's probably a whole lecture series, but
The short of it is that when we come into situations where we feel hurt, first of all, we're not taught that it's okay to have all of these emotions,
Mhm.
these things. We don't know how to process them. We don't know what they are. We know we're feeling some type of way, right? And we never identify what that is. So then we come in the defense. The ego takes over and it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to show you that I'm sad. I'm going to show you that I'm angry. But
Hmm.
behind the anger is the sadness of, feeling left out, feeling
Hmm.
neglected, feeling abandoned, feeling unloved, unheard. We have our core basic needs that we need to feel loved, heard, we need to feel secure. And when those things are not met, then it can be a sadness or a fear of abandonment. Many of us have, fears of abandonment or rejection,
Hmm.
right? Um, so then those come up, and when that raw spot gets touched, it's like, when if you have a dog and that dog hurts their paw and they're the nicest, the sweetest, but you get close to that wound and they're like, and they're going to let you know, like, don't touch it.
Hmm.
That's how we do. But
Hmm.
behind that is that soft spot
Hmm.
that we haven't been taught to go to. So if you sit with the anger long enough, or when you feel kind of like, heightened, you feel that fight, flight, fawn, freeze come on, like, I know you, I gotta run, I want to do, I have to fix it, I have to make it better. Okay, sit with it for a minute. Sit with the feelings, like what's coming up? What's coming up? This feels too much like when I was little and I didn't have any say over what was happening to me, or I didn't have any say of what was going on with my parents. I didn't have any say what was going on with me in school, and it's
Mhm.
triggering that. So you're like, I need to get out of this as fast as
Mhm.
possible,
Mhm.
right? So it comes back to we have these primary emotions, and we never want to make our goals based on running away from those primary emotions or dealing with the results of trauma from those, those lack of those needs being met.
This is good. Primary emotions. Nobody ever told me after all these years talking to y'all therapists, having several therapists, nobody told me that about no primary emotions.
Yeah, we have these big feelings that we had when we were little, and a lot of times, we come from unhealed parents. We come from unhealed settings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is that generational trauma that gets passed down. It's unhealed, but we're not going to talk about it. You're just going to shut up and you're going to do what I tell you to do, and you're going to stand where I tell you to stand. If you want to cry, you go in the other room, and I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Listen, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it feels so unnerving when somebody comes, when you see those parents that are like, what we call like gentle parenting, and they're like, well, how are you feeling? Well, what's going on? And the unhealed part in you is like, that is some BS. If you don't beat that child, put that child on timeout, if you don't that's our unhealed, spots inside of ourselves where really we needed that.
Yeah.
I've watched several people on TikTok who are, they are specialists in reparenting. And so they are reparenting them. They do like videos showing themselves reparenting themselves while they're parenting.
Oh, wow.
So it's the gentle talk to yourself. Like, I know it was really hard to do this today. Like, I know you didn't want to do it, but you showed up, we're just going to take a moment. I know you didn't like it when, whatever the child's name is, did such and such and such and such, you did really good. You showed up, and it's okay to take a moment to step back. But we can't, how can we teach our kids to feel their feelings if we can't feel our own?
Sure. Yeah, we got to do a whole show, I think, on that parenting piece. Sure.
Yeah.
So Dr. Roscoe put in the chat, and you can unmute and answer a question.
Okay. I have a question. Okay, so kind of talking about those primary emotions and emotion overall, I feel like there's another side, and I've been hearing a lot more on social media that people have been talking about like functional freeze and like operating in your day-to-day, but not being super like in tune with your feelings or your emotions and just kind of going by your day by day, but not really acknowledging what's really happening in your day to day and how do you feel about it.
Yes.
Is that a term that, you've also seen kind of talked a lot more about, and what are some things that people can do who might find themselves feeling that way?
That's a great one. Functional freeze is really something that's a newer term, and I feel like it's taken an incline. It's increased after the pandemic. Just because, before we would really lean more towards dissociating, right? So living in the experience, not feeling any of the feelings that are going along with it. Seeing trauma. When you see people who like face trauma, they're like, yeah, that's because they dissociated. So when you're living in a state where you are, functioning, but not connecting emotionally, it is important for, grounding is so important. And that's one thing that I will teach all the time is grounding techniques, whether that is, there's so many different things. There's the 5 senses method where you kind of take your time to focus in on 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can, hear. So you go through the senses and you connect with your environment, right? So you use your senses to reconnect. Excuse me. I'll have people, either touch their clothing or a piece of jewelry and use some breath work. So breath work is great too for reconnecting with your body. And when you reconnect with the body, then you can reconnect with where your emotions are, right? Tapping is another good one where you can just different parts on your body, even if it's kind of like some self-massage, even if it's your temples or tapping. It's a tactile reminder that brings you back into, there's also feeling associated with it. You're feeling that tapping on your body that helps bring you back into this space. Energetically, what happens is that a lot of our energy is expended out in the world, right? We get up in the morning and we've already been like, in our dreams. And when we went to sleep, we were thinking about the things that we didn't do, that we need to do, that are on the horizon, that I need to remember to plan. So we're utilizing our energy in the upper chakras, the upper energy centers, and out into the world. But the idea is that we've got to draw that energy back through our bodies all the way into our feet, grounding, like maybe thinking of like a tree, the trunk of a tree and the roots of a tree, rooting yourself into the present moment, so that we're not kind of like floundering out here. And also, I think that practicing a pause is another great way to reconnect after being in a space of a functional freeze, right? Asking yourself, okay, so like, what am I feeling something? What am I feeling? Because so often we feel like we need to respond in the moment. Somebody comes in with stimulus, we need to give stimulus back. But we're empowered to say, like, you know what? That's great. And I want to have this discussion, or I want to do whatever it is. But I need to have a minute so I can, really think about this and give it enough thought. I want to be thoughtful and intentional about my response or my connection with you in this moment.
That was incredible. Good question, Dr. Orozco. I was going to ask you, Yana, my favorite thing for you to do is a good stretch. But you brought up grounding, so I wonder if you can close us out on a grounding something. Like, what would you like to do just to bring it all home?
Okay.
And a thing that people can just practice in real time throughout the day, or at a necessary moment of the day. Just something real practical.
Absolutely. So let's do it. Okay, so I want you to relax. Sit back in your chair. Let your chair support you. And when you feel ready and you feel comfortable and you feel safe, I'd like for you to take a deep breath in through your nose, and on your exhale through your mouth, let your eyes close. And just sit with your breath for a moment. Witness that subtle inhale and exhale. Maybe even focusing in on the feel of the exhale on your upper lip. And as you settle in, inhale again. On the exhale, let your shoulders relax, creating more space in between your shoulders and your ears. And what I want to do is I want to have you focus your awareness, and I'm going to use that word a lot. And when I say awareness, what I actually mean is it's like you have a magnifying glass. That's your awareness. And I'm going to have you focus it in on certain parts of your body. So the first thing I want you to do is take your awareness and bring it to the crown of your head, right at the top of your head, hovering over. And maybe in this space, if you can, you visualize a lavender purple light. Once you're able to create that light for yourself, right at the crown of your head, bring your awareness down to the muscles of your face. Check in with them. Are you sensing any tenseness in your forehead, your eyelids, your jaw? Maybe you create a little bit of space in between your upper and lower jaw, allowing it to relax. Now coming down to your heart center. Right in the center of your chest where your heart is, you can visualize either green, an emerald green, or a pink light right there. And then also see the face of someone that you love unconditionally. Cultivating that unconditional love energy Now bring your awareness down to your hands where they're resting. Can you feel any energy buzzing through your hands? Almost like back in the day when you used to have the snow on the TV. The palms of your hands, your fingertips. And then bring your awareness now down to your feet, the soles, the tops, all of your toes. Again, can you feel the energy vibrating through your feet at this time? A moment of gratitude for both your hands and your feet, for the way that they carry you around. They allow you to be more expressive. The way your limbs follow the command of your brain. Impulses sent down to them. You're an entire miracle. And now lastly, what I want you to do is to visualize a white light like an orb all around your body. Allowing yourself to glow, being nourished, purified, cleansed, recharged. Allowing yourself to take up all of your space unapologetically. It's okay to be in your body. Taking a deep breath in. On the exhale, through your open mouth, visualizing that white light expanding even further outside of your body, getting larger, taking up more space. And do that 2 more times. Exhale, let that light get larger. And the last exhale, you're going to allow that light to almost take up your entire space in your room. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
I feel like a brand new person.
Listen, 2026 ain't even ready.
I just realized I haven't breathed like that in so long.
Oh, see, good. I'm glad you did. It
That
can
was
change
good.
everything. It can change everything.
Yeah.
The
That
one
was
thing I do
only.
want to,
Mhm.
the one thing I do want to leave you guys with is to, and my sister and I have done this for a few years. Well, a few years being at least 10. We let a word or a couple of words come up that are the focal point for, words, kind of empowerment words for the upcoming year.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I teach yoga, I ask people to kind of, especially students, I'm like, what's your word for today? If I do it in the morning, what's your word for the day? So that way, when you're making your choices throughout the day, you're making them around wanting whatever it is that you want to feel. Do you want to feel more peace in this day? Okay, well, you're faced with a decision. Which option is going to bring more peace?
Mhm.
You want to reinforce that your word of intention for the day. So we have words of intention, and I think this year I was sitting at the subway. We were in New York, and I was sitting in the subway, and I saw these 2 women, short story, saw these 2 women pass by. The first woman came in, and she had her heels on, and she's walking clackety-clack, clickety-clack, right? And then I see this other woman who comes down into the subway, and she's got like her jeans on, her sneakers on, and she's just like really, comfortable in her skin. Not saying that the other woman wasn't. But the words that came to me were sensible adventure. And so when people think of sensible, they're like, oh, that's boring, But actually sensible is based off of wisdom. Right? When we think of sensible shoes, that's usually when think, because that's where I thought. I was like, she got on some sensible shoes. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so old. And I was like, let me Google sensible and get the definition. And sensible is making choices based on wisdom. Right? Things that are going to bring comfort, but also wisdom. is the driving force behind it. And so having adventures this year, but adventures that are based on being sensible, wisdom, right? Yeah. So
I like
offer
that.
for yourself.
I think we talked about that before Word of the Year a while ago. I feel like that might have come up in a conversation previously and I forgot about it. So I need to get thinking.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. That was great. And to any viewer, I would say if you just need a moment, if you ever just need a moment, just start this podcast, favorite it or something, come back to it, skip all the way to the end, and get to Yana's. What was that? A meditation?
It's an
Grounding.
Intro, an intro to grounding.
Nice.
Skip all the way past and come back and look at that later, but get to the grounding just to take a moment for yourself to reset because it felt good.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
It felt good. Thank you so much, Jana. So are you taking individual clients? I know that you do work in Chester. I know you were at least doing Zumba on the weekend. So where can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Absolutely. So, my email is always good. One soul gift, the number one soul gift @gmail.com. I am also at soulgiftingsacredspaces.com. I think it actually is soulgiftingsacredspaces.weebly.com is the website. And there you'll see all the services that I offer listed there. On Instagram at Temple Warrior. Inbox me, DM me, email me, all the things. Yeah, so I'm open and available for that. I also, do group work as well. So
Nice.
Any group work coming up in Chester or Delco anytime soon?
I want to do, after the beginning of the year, I do want to do another, The Art of Healing. So I took the workbook and put it into live sessions at the Keystone First Wellness Center.
Mm-hmm.
So we focus on each of the main chakras, one per week. So I do another series like that, and it involves restorative yoga and different artistic, creative activities as well, and aromatherapy, and we do all the things.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome. Oh, well, thank you for
My
coming
pleasure.
back. I don't know if you saw in the intro, you were leading the Zumba. You were featured in their intro. I think you were dancing when that part came on, so if you didn't see it, you're in there.
I was getting busy.
You are definitely in our intro. So thank you for always showing up and being there, Yana. You are amazing. We will definitely have you back. Probably like a little mid-year check-in or something. We'll have you back to check in and see how things are going with what we should be doing with our goals. But thank you so much again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
having
John.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Remember to check us out on Wednesdays at 7:15, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Truth with no ceilings. No cap, just vision. We speak it, we live it. Your health is our mission. Facts versus feelings. Truth with no ceilings. No cap, just vision. We speak it, we live it. Your health is our mission.